Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to another Experience Matters show. Thank you for joining. Um, right, so as always, the goal of the show is to bring in industry experts, specifically in the market research in the CX industry, so they can share their knowledge with us and we can really learn from their experience, right? I'm your host, Shibani Philip. I lead the APAC business for Question Pro. And today we have Pankaj Chawwani joining us today. Pankaj is the product manager for at Edulastic. Um, Pankaj, thank you so much for taking the time. How are you doing?
Thank you, Shivani. It's great to be here. I'm doing good. Hope you are going good as well.
I'm doing good as well. I'm typically based in Bangalore, in India, in South India. I know you are too, but right now I'm in Mumbai. Are you
Oh,
enjoying
okay.
the rains? How is it?
It's pretty raining a lot. So now the Bangalore's habit is back again. Bangalore used to rain every day in the evening, so that's back, but in a massive way where it's getting flooded lot of areas. So yeah,
Yeah,
but it's good.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
good
yeah.
weather here, as
Yeah,
usual.
it seemed to have brought the rains from Bangalore to Mumbai as well because it's been pouring here. So, but that it's good for Mumbai. Otherwise, it's terribly hot. So it's
Yeah. I hope
great.
it should not
We
rain a lot in there.
No, it's all right. Typically, it's a little bit of rain is fine. It's Ganpati here, so then that is it's got its
Um,
own hustle bustle of the city.
yeah,
So it's a nice time to be in Mumbai.
awesome.
All right. I think we've got a few people joining us. Pankaj, shall we kick this off?
Sure. Hi,
Perfect.
everyone.
So, yeah, yeah. So for today's show, what we'll be talking about is really when you're taking a product from, from the concept stage right up to when you're taking it live. There are several steps in between, and for each of those different steps, there are unique, specific market research studies or any sort of research studies that you need to be running, right?
Yeah,
So what we do, and what what we've really noticed is that sometimes you kind of skip a step, which really affects the outcome. There are consequences to not running those research studies, or at least not running it the way they're supposed to run. You're going to lose out on those key insights that are going to help make your product better or help make your go to market better, right? So
yeah,
that's what our goal for today's show is going to be, where we walk you through those different stages, and then Pankaj will, walk you through what happens in each of those stages and what are those key research that you need to be running. With that, Pankaj, over to you.
thank you, Shivani. So I have a small slide for this so that everyone knows
Yeah.
the agenda
Mm-hmm.
because, as you said, right, product development is a very long part and has a lot of steps involved. So it's a quick
Mm-hmm.
slide where I have mentioned the agenda that we'll be covering, and we'll be covering the research that personally I did, or my team where I work right now, right, in Edulastic we have done, and what we have learned from those, and what
Yeah.
we have done without research, and I'll be sharing those as well. And yeah, that's about this. So
Mm-hmm.
let's go with the agenda. So basically I am covering 4 points here. The first is where when you have in the inception state where you just have an idea, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
or like your co-founder or somebody might have an idea of a product, right? So what are important points to do there are: first idea, then idea
Mm-hmm.
validation and research, and then prototyping of that. So we'll be covering in detail about all these things. The second is development and execution plan, where you plan of how to do this development, what technology you will be using, what all entire thing regarding the development part. And then
Mm-hmm.
once your MVP, that means a minimal viable product, is ready. So what kind of testing you can do, what feedback analysis you should do, and so that you feel that, yeah, you are ready to launch the product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the final stage is where you are launching the product and doing what it needs to take after the
Yeah.
launch, right? So let's start with the idea. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say everyone has some or other idea. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, as we see, especially Bangalore, right, where ideas are booming, the startups are
Yeah.
booming in India,
Yeah.
right, and government is in full support, everything is going good. So everyone thinks, oh, I have a brilliant idea and I can do
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. And how this idea gets generated, let's think about that. Maybe you have suffered something,
Mm-hmm.
and you think, yeah, this is a problem and I want to solve it.
Yep.
Example, Ola, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Bhavesh just suffered for a booking of a cab, and he thought, okay, let's do something, and Ola was
Yeah.
born, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, the second option maybe for an idea generation can be where you see a need of, something in the market. You
Yeah.
feel like, okay, or you are hearing the same statement from different people, and you think, yeah, this is a common problem, let's do something,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
idea gets generated. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
example, WhatsApp, Oyo,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
they
Yep. They
they
all
just
they all
got
started
the
from that.
market
Mm-hmm.
need. Okay, what is the market need, and let's do something around that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
this is a second part of idea generation, right? Or else, if we notice that all new startups which are here right now, right, you talk about Ola, Oyo, anything, all
Mm-hmm.
are just focused on some small idea, and
Yep.
that has made them big, right?
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
okay, I have an idea, or maybe you have an idea, or anybody here present or might have an idea, or somebody can reach out to you with an idea.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not a problem. Idea is with
Mm.
everyone, but the
Yep.
problem is with the execution of that idea. We don't know how to start, where to start, and what
Mm-hmm.
to do before.
Yep.
Because okay, my idea is going to be a successful or not, and I don't know. So there,
Mm-hmm.
the CX, or else the research part comes in, which is the point two. You have to validate your idea. You have
Mm-hmm.
to come across, okay, it's my gut feeling, let I have three friends and we three things, think for that, okay, yeah, this is a good idea, let's do something,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But that will not help you.
Mm.
That's my personal experience. Because you have to validate, okay, even if a small feature. So let me give an example of Edulastic. So Edulastic
Mm.
is an assessment platform which we deal in a edtech company, right? It's a
Yep.
edtech
Mm-hmm.
market. So we have a lot of ideas for our
Yeah.
product, right? A small
Mm-hmm.
feature, let's do this, let's do that. But if I keep on building those things, that will not solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
First, I have to understand whether, okay, you know in a Hindi there is a saying, ek tir se do nishane, kind
Mm-hmm.
of. So you should think around and you should find out what is the best solution to solve maximum problems or maximum feedbacks that you have, or
Mm-hmm.
your idea is going to cover majority of things or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes under idea validation, where you go and see the market. Let's say ed tech companies, right? So ed tech market just in US right now, okay, is a $1 trillion market. It's a
Mm.
very very huge market. But do you think education will give you $1 trillion revenue
Mm.
overall the industry? It's very huge.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how you
Yeah.
will come to know? First you have to validate those points, you have to find out, okay,
Yeah.
because any idea, you are developing to solve the cause, but you are also working behind this to get money out of it. It's
Yeah.
not just that, that you want to build something just for a namesake or a social
Yeah.
cause. It
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
very honest, let's be
Yeah.
practical, it's not like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So idea validation, let's say I have an idea of developing an education app. Okay, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the education industry, let me take that as a best example right now.
Yeah.
So let's say, as a pandemic cause, right, we saw many startups coming up with educational teaching ideas, where maybe called an academy or physics wala or anything. There are different sectors, right? Byju's
Yeah.
is in
Mm-hmm.
world's biggest right now an
Mm-hmm.
edtech company. An Indian company is the world's biggest edtech company.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all these guys have just validated their small idea. It's not like, many times people do think that we have to cover everything within an app or in an idea that we are. It's not required. To be
Yeah.
very honest, it's not required at all. You have to
Mm.
just think about the small piece that you have, whether it's gonna solve that respective problem or not. Because
Mm-hmm.
once you take a step ahead to do a
Mm-hmm.
research, you find more causes around it. Okay, this is creating that problem, this is happening due to this problem, and you try to accommodate everything within your product, and that's how your
Yeah.
product gets a life, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now what kind of research you should do, let me come to that first. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it's basically you should focus on, okay, I have an idea, let me go to the market and understand. Maybe you can conduct a survey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say nowadays it's like, if you are thinking that your idea is unique, let me be very honest again, there is a
Mm-hmm.
huge possibility that your idea is not unique. Somebody
Fair.
else
Yeah.
somewhere in the
Yeah.
world is thinking the same idea and may or may not be working right now on the same idea, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, who quickly do it and launch it to
Yeah.
market. Nowadays
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
that, right? So
Yes.
you have, and so while doing research or a survey, you don't want to make people give a hint of, what you are thinking around. So what people do nowadays is they collect demographics
Mm.
regarding that. So I'm not asking you direct question about that you need this, but I'm asking you
Mm.
certain points which can lead me to that point that, yeah, you need this will solve your
Yeah.
problem, so
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
initial
Yeah.
research you should do, a research on whether you are going to capitalize it or not, and how you
Mm-hmm.
will be able to do, how much potential this industry has in the respective industry, whatever you go for, right? It's whether it's edtech, whether it's b2c, anything, or b2d, whatever you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is something. Now, of course, you got an idea. The second or the third point in this is prototyping. I am
Mm-hmm.
not asking you to build the entire product or something, but nowadays it's very easy to just do a wireframing of some screenshots or some, whiteboardings,
Yeah.
and you can think around what it is and get an idea from your teammates at least. That
Yeah.
is another
Yeah.
thing. So whenever we launch or we think about a new feature in our organization, right, it's just in talks. Initially it's
Mm.
just in talks, right? But it's very important that you think around it, design something, like a
Mm-hmm.
ux experience, how you can do, or what you're thinking. At least just put the ui in front, just
Mm-hmm.
draw rough hand and try to visualize it, how it will look like. And that's how you, because I'm talking about when you are starting a new product, meaning you are starting either a new company or something,
Mm.
so at that time, let's say I have to get some support from my teammates, right? I have to build a
Mm-hmm.
team first to get this product launch,
Yeah.
right? So for that it's required, because you all should be on the same page. They should
Yeah.
sink in with you, what you want to do, what is your idea behind, and what kind of things you want to do in future as well. With that, everything starts with, that just one click. So
Got it.
that one
Got it.
click will get you in the poc state. That's proof of concept. Whatever concept you are thinking, whether it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
work or not, everything depends on the prototype. And I'm not saying it's an industry standard right now. It's what I have learned from this past 7 8 years of
Got it.
experience in the product management. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's good
Yeah.
to follow the books all the time, but I do sometimes off track from the books, and
Yeah.
so these are some quick learnings that I have gotten. So yeah,
Got it. So I
research,
think
the
one
initial research is very important. Yeah,
absolutely. And in terms of your initial research that you were talking about, right? Yes, you have
yeah,
an idea. Your idea is not going to go anywhere unless you action upon it. So that's there, right?
yeah,
But in order to know the direction of which you need to take it forward, which are those the features that you need to be including in phase one of your product versus bringing it in down the line. The research that you kind of run, I would, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming it would start with your standard qual research, where you understand what their needs are, understand if it is a white space, understand if that is a requirement right now, right?
yeah,
And then when you get your insights from there, and then when you run a quant study, it's exactly like you said, right? You can't ask them point blank because it's probably something
yeah,
that's new to the market that they can't envision at this point. So asking those surrogate questions is extremely important. But I think what
yes,
is critical here is which surrogate questions to ask, right? Because you can get
Yes,
completely different
yes,
answers, you can get completely different analysis and cohorts and things like that once you have, if you're not asking the right question. So I think
correct.
all of that, a majority of that would come from your qual research that you would do first, followed
Yes,
by your quant to validate that, which will again give you your insights, give you those key items that you need to work on when you're building out this prototype. Is that
I
in line? Is
totally
that
yes, yes, of
perfect?
course. Because see, I want to eat food, but if I'm asking just for something, it won't solve the problem, right? I
Yeah,
want the
yeah.
specific things. So yeah, that's very correct. During that research, you have to make sure that all the questions, so you have to when you start with an idea and everything, right? You don't have a bigger team where you have UI experts, UX experts, everything. No, I'm talking before inception. So everything is what is me or my
Yeah.
co-founders or someone, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we have to think around. We do brainstorming initially. Let's say I want to, again going back to edtech, right? Let's say I want to start a app. Okay, so in this app I want that, okay, let's solve where teachers should be able to assign assignments to students, and they should be able to take it. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first use case, the basic use case, right? Now I can give you a lot of features around it, maybe later.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
important, so you have to draw a line as well. What is important, what is not important, what we want to do, list down everything, but the
Yeah.
P0 items, right? The highest thing, or I'll say, which we will be covering it in the third step, that's MVP,
Yeah.
the minimal
Mm-hmm.
viable product, what all things
Mm-hmm.
should be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
in this education app, maybe I want to have this assessment. So this is my primary goal, that I want this feature. Now the questions that I will design to do initial research will be in this area, right?
Mm-hmm.
That what people struggle with, is it a content creation part, is it a question creation? Because writing is very easy for a question, but
Mm-hmm.
when you go on, our teachers are not in our generation, right? Our teachers, majority of teachers are like old people who are not so tech savvy, I'll say. So what I have seen, many people, right? We especially deal in this domain. So I have seen that where very big districts in US, even the teachers hesitate to use the app because they are
Mm-hmm.
not very much fluent with the technologies, or else because of their age or some factors, they don't want to get involved in, I don't want to learn new thing. That's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest barrier for people, right? That at certain age you feel like, okay, this is very tough. Maybe you're just asking to click on a send button, but it's
Mm-hmm.
it's tough for our parents sometimes, right? To learn WhatsApp was difficult for them until they
Mm-hmm.
know the advantage of it. Now they are
Got it.
very useful. So same goes with any of the app. You might have experienced that any app, so the user's experience matters
Mm-hmm.
120%, not just 100. Everything is defined by users experience. There are many competitors,
Mm-hmm.
but the best app is still WhatsApp.
Yeah. Mm. True.
Users experience you know
Got it. Got it. The
no,
so when you
yeah,
look at the kind of research that needs to be run, right? So let's say,
yeah,
for example, now you've come up with your prototype, you've come out with your POC. Before you take it, in order to understand if there is PMF, right? If there is some product market fit, if there is, have you built it out for the right segment? Is there any specific research that you do run? How do you build out those user interviews? Um,
yeah. So initially, see, as I said, in the initial concepts, right, you can't share your idea with everyone or anyone.
yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
limited certain people within your core group or core team, I'll say. You
Mm-hmm.
don't blur it out anywhere. So the initial research in that area, you have to again do it in a clever way where nobody gets hint of what you are going to build out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, there are certain things that you do, is basically you start connecting to some people, some good who dedicated people, and try to take their time and ask them, okay, what are the pinpoints,
Mm-hmm.
in certain way. So let me take an example. Okay, so I was building this feature called playlist in Edulastic. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so as soon as I say playlist, what comes in your mind?
Just a list of different
Songs.
videos that they need to be, or
Yeah,
yeah,
videos or
songs.
right,
Yeah,
songs or
yeah.
anything. So it's just anything is called as playlist. So when we were talking to few teachers, and we were understanding that okay, our app is fantastic. Okay, it's
Mm-hmm.
simple, it's easy to use, people are using it. Now what's next? So at that time we were thinking about this feature where it's an online assessment platform, Edulastic, right? So in
Mm-hmm.
Edulastic, we wanted to give a experience to teachers where they can just refer Edulastic as a textbook, a set of
Mm-hmm.
assessments.
Mm-hmm.
So your entire year is being sorted.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
So that was the concept of playlist.
Yeah.
When I'm talking, it might not be making sense right now, but just now let's think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I teach my students some or the other thing, right? Let's say number system, then parabola, hyperbola, whatever. And
Yeah.
every day I have to search the content or else create the content so that I can assign them a test,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that to
Mm-hmm.
validate what they have learned, what how their concepts are.
Mm-hmm.
That's the advantage of technology, right? That every day you
Mm-hmm.
can assign them some assessments and learn, okay, my students are performing good or not.
Mm-hmm.
So now this consumes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Okay, to search a specific test or create a test, on an average creating a test will consume your 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
every day just for one test. We have to reduce it so
Yeah.
that the usage is more. I'm now gonna save your time. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so what if I create a complete list of tests referring to your textbook that you
Yeah.
can just go and assign whenever you teach a specific module? Let's say today I taught number system, I can just go and hit one button called assign,
Mm-hmm.
and the test is being assigned to students. So my 30 minutes are saved every day. If I'm just saving you 1 hour in a week,
Got it.
I'm saving you 5 hours.
Got it.
I'm
Let
saving you
me
5 hours productivity. So
Great. Let
yeah,
me
sorry.
bring it to in terms of the research, right? So this
Yeah,
is, and the point that you mentioned is so relevant because it is a problem right now that either parents face or teachers face, or
yeah,
it's a very real world problem. So if it is, how do you arrive at these problems is
yes,
one thing. What is the kind of research that you would run? I'm assuming it is just looking at the behavior of it. You're maybe doing a screen share, you're doing a qualitative research for that to see the time taken for each of those different steps, or second, saying, once that has come in, you've identified that is a problem, you build out the product, and then how do you test that product, right? What is the kind of
yeah,
research? I'm
yeah,
assuming you're going to be running concept
yes,
tests, you're going to be running your usage and attitude towards those kind of research towards the product. How do you bring it from, okay, identify that this is an issue, what is the research that you do for that, and then once it is released, how do you make, and even in the in between stages
yeah,
during the testing, how
yeah.
do you get that tested out?
So this second, third, and fourth point, I'm going to cover all these 4 points now, taking reference as a playlist so that it
Yeah.
will be
Mm-hmm.
better to
Perfect.
understand easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna just answer all your questions right
Awesome.
now.
Okay.
So let's say I just explain what this feature will do, right?
Yeah.
But it's not
Mm-hmm.
like okay, we thought one night and it arrived in this
Mm-hmm.
way, right?
Yeah.
There was a research done for this. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so first, as we said, we are an assessment platform, right, where
Yep.
you can create an assignment and assign to your students.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a so how much time it's gonna take,
Yep.
okay, for teachers to so this is a research that you have to do. Okay, how
Mm-hmm.
much time teachers are spending on this application, how much time they are spending on just creating a test or items. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is one kind of research that you have to do. Secondly, you have to talk to your customers. Okay, you have to
Mm-hmm.
talk and you have to understand what are their pain points. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay, my pain point is that I'm not able to search the specific contents in your library. You have
Yep.
lakhs and lakhs of assignments available, but I just want a simple quantitative assessment phone
Yep.
number system, but there are hundreds of those. How to choose
Yep.
which one is mine?
Mm-hmm.
That was another problem. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
noted. We will think around
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, talking to customers, okay, you're authoring of items, this is painful. So all the pain points of customers, you have to understand those, and you
Mm-hmm.
start thinking around those. How can I solve this? Because software gives you an opportunity where you can solve any kind of problem.
Yep.
It's not restricted to anything. So you
Mm-hmm.
just have to code in that direction and it will get solved. But
Mm-hmm.
whether to solve it makes sense or not, that is another research you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 10 of my customers, because I can't interview hundreds and hundreds of people all the time,
Mm-hmm.
you know but I have to just think in a direction whether it's gonna solve a lot of problems or not. I am
Mm-hmm.
talking to 10 customers, maybe only two have complained that test authoring is problem for them, others
Mm-hmm.
are happy. Maybe three of them again complain that, okay, library search, yeah, that's a painful stuff for me. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of researches we did. Okay, and we found that, okay, and maximum the most point that we got was the time consumption, the drop rate. That's another thing that you have to notice.
Mm-hmm.
When authoring of a test gets started, people drop
Mm-hmm.
off in between because it's time consuming. you
Mm-hmm.
know so all such kind of research, maybe this is, I'm just talking in a specific direction of ed tech or in my feature product, right? But I'm just giving a sense of what kind of things you have to think of. It might be related to your product, maybe,
Yep.
right? So let's say, for an example, let's go to another product, Ola, the OTP
Mm-hmm.
system. That was a pain point. That's why they brought the OTP system,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Where you
Mm-hmm.
should share the OTP to start your ride, because some people were taking an advantage of that. So
Fair.
that
Yep.
came
Mm-hmm.
out because of some research they did, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Why the refunds are so high? Why the complaints are getting high? What's happening there? What
Yep.
feedbacks we are getting? So you have collected all those informations and you have solved all of those just by one solution. Let's give an
Yep.
OTP system.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you do a research in that. You have to circle around and around in the same problem areas to find out, to talk to more and more people possible, because
Yep.
nowadays the difficult thing is to talk to people, to
Mm-hmm.
get someone's time to talk and
Mm-hmm.
understand their problem. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
another
Or
point
you
where,
can leverage panels and things like that
yes, yes,
Questo has, where you can reach out to members within your target audience that you probably don't have a way of contacting. So if they're outside of your current customer database, but they still fall into your target group, you can reach out to panels, which makes the whole thing a lot simpler, a lot
yes,
faster, right?
that's
In
how
order
the
to collect that
technology is
feedback.
saving. Question
Yeah,
Pro is
exactly.
serving the need.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
those kind of things. So now we have done this thing and we found, okay, these are the pain points, and we started thinking how to solve it. So it was
Mm,
very good idea. Some, again, it was an idea. We
mhm,
just did some hypothesis around, okay, yeah, this can do that, this can do that, and it can
mhm.
solve this problem, of the time saving and everything, and let's go
Yep,
for it. You have to take a chance sometimes. I'll
got
say
it. Yeah.
playlist, we took a chance. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That
Luckily for
that's
you
the
guys, it
that's the
worked out.
beauty of startup. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
beauty
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
startups, that, yeah, we can do, and we can transform it in a different way.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
that's why I just said small idea can get you a lot of things. You have to
Yeah,
just
just
go in
need
a
to
direction.
action.
Yeah, and
Yep,
that's how so it starts. And
mhm,
now, okay, uh, I can't directly launch this feature of playlist, okay,
yep,
because, okay, I heard you, I am listening to
mm-hmm,
you, I got your problem points, I have this solution where now playlist is going to solve your problem.
mm-hmm,
Now prepare a MVP for that.
correct.
you know
Mm-hmm,
it's a okay, whatever we thought of, we'll just build it in a very
mm-hmm,
rough way.
mm-hmm,
Let's say it's not even a beta. Okay, it's
mm-hmm,
just, okay, it serves those needs what we were thinking of. Go
yep,
back to those same people, ask them to
mm-hmm,
try this out, get
mm-hmm,
their feedback, because initially you got the problems from them. Now we
mm-hmm,
have to get the feedback, because if I go to someone else to get the feedback, they
mm-hmm,
have no context. much context compared to the people who have given me this feedbacks initially, right? That what were their pain points and how we are solving it. This
Mm-hmm.
also creates a relationship between your customer and the manage the products. Okay, which will again lead you to the last point of launch, which is community building. Nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
building a community is the biggest thing. Everyone, let's say Amazon, everything, you call it a customer base. I'm just calling it as a community. OnePlus,
Mm.
biggest example, who captured the
Yeah.
market just based on the community because they listen
Mm.
to, you know,
Yeah.
the biggest
Absolutely.
point of OnePlus is that they listen to people, their community. So nowadays, everyone is building their community, right? Everyone, even Question Pro is building a community. Edulastic is
Mm-hmm.
building a community, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll say we leverage on our community as well, on
Yeah.
Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere, wherever you are
Mm-hmm.
creating. So now this MVP will go back to them. Let them test it out.
Yeah.
That okay, this were your pain points. This is how this will work. Play around. Give
Yeah.
us your feedback. That is the most important part of getting your product launch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because okay, I have built it. My team has
Mm-hmm.
built it. We will always love it. We will
Yeah.
always like that product. But the actual
Sure.
feedback you will get from the people who are not in your circle,
Yep.
who are either the end customers or new people. Let's just give them to play around,
Yeah.
and there again, as you said, Shibani, earlier, right, we have to ask specific correct questions. So you have to
Yeah.
draft your question set there again,
Got it.
because somebody will give, oh, I don't like this UI, somebody will say something.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah.
okay, let them say whatever extra comments they have, but you have to ask your specific questions as well.
Yeah. Got
Do
it.
you think
Got
this
it.
this is gonna save your time? Do you think that this is, if this playlist is aligned to your textbook, this will be
Yeah.
helpful? Okay,
Yeah.
can you
Yeah.
create this? Does the authoring flow works for you, or you need some improvements, or what is point? So every product in itself will have certain different set of questions that already. And as a
Yeah.
product manager, I'm always a bridge between everyone, whether it's product to customer,
Yeah.
stakeholders
Yeah.
to product. A product manager's job is just, if it is good, the team
Yeah.
goes good. If it is bad, then product manager goes bad. So it works
No,
that
fair
way.
enough.
Okay.
It
So
is, one thing
so
we've realized is whenever you're asking, and especially when you're, going to market with something like this, you would foresee all of these to be the key, areas that we need to be collecting feedback on, the critical areas that, for the different customers. But the the one-off things that can completely take us by surprise, that ends up being highly important to the customer, which we never even thought of, comes from
yeah,
those
yeah,
open-ended comments though.
yeah,
So
yes, yes,
so
I
those are
agree.
equally important, because so that sometimes there are blinders on, and we don't really realize it, but our customers give us that information. So there is quite a bit of insights and just valuable feedback that we get from customers, from some of those open-ended questions which we didn't expect. So
Exactly. That's very true. Lot of times you will get through
yeah,
this
yeah,
or
yeah,
go
yeah.
through this. So yeah,
What about
that's
the
important.
last, post launch, Pankaj?
Yeah.
How does it? Obviously,
Mm,
your research, collecting feedback from your consumers, that's not going to end. It's a constant cycle. You're constantly revamping the product. So
correct.
you always have to be abreast of what the customers want, what the needs are in the market, what competition is doing. Right, that's a fairly
Exactly.
huge part of the research as well. So,
Yeah.
what happens post launch typically?
So once you're done with the launch, now you have to start all kind of trackings. You know,
Yeah.
the product usage, the feature usage, how much time they are spending, everything, every
Mm-hmm.
small data counts. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not gonna talk about that in a bigger sense, because
Yeah.
this entire agenda is just focusing on your idea, right? And it's kind of a startup where you don't have all those facilities, where you can leverage like Question Pro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it will solve a lot of problems for you, because
Yeah.
now you are not just leveraging on getting someone to hire, and then you start working on these things, or maybe you don't have resources so much. So
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, yeah, it's very doable thing, or it makes very perfect judgment that I should use a third party for all those things,
Yep.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the research is now I want to do is, okay, I am tracking the usage of app, I am tracking what kind of buzz I am creating in a social media. That's again very important thing, you know.
Yep.
Tracking the
Mm-hmm.
social media, getting the content posted there, all kind of things is needed. What kind of feedback or rating people are giving, you know, you have to run some kind of surveys within the app users as well. So
Yep.
that's why
Mm-hmm.
nowadays there are a lot of different apps came which you can inbuilt within your app, so that they collect the survey, they collect the usages of, right? So you
Yep.
track
Yep.
every
Question Pro
small
has that
thing.
as well as part
Yeah,
of the entire
yeah.
package, right?
You,
With customer experience. Yep. Mm-hmm.
awesome. So like you sent an email campaign, okay, how many clicks, everything gets tracked. After the launch,
Mm-hmm.
it's very important you listen to your customers first,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because they are the biggest source. You know, you do a marketing, I'll not say marketing plays the biggest role, I'll say, to get any other app in the market, okay, to the top.
Yep.
Because
Mm-hmm.
if I'm showing you the same thing 100 times, you know, like a
Yep.
television do, right, you are gonna think about it, or now it's set in your mind. So that
Yep.
happens. But for all kind of apps you can't just do this. So social media is another means, right, where you run
Absolutely.
ads and everything. But
Yep.
running an ad, again, you have to be cost effective, you have to figure out your targeted market, and you have to
Sure.
work in that to nurture that market, you
Yep.
know. So like Edulastic, it's a freemium product, it's free.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Yep.
go and sign up, you can use it anytime,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we get the leads, I'll say, in terms of
Yeah.
marketing, right? And
Yeah.
word of
Yeah.
mouth,
Yeah.
trust me,
Yeah.
word of mouth still works the best.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's the
that
backing
was,
of NPS. So
yeah,
yeah.
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 And that's why I asked, the first thing is to listen to your customers, because if you start listening to your customer and they feel that you are listening and you're working on it, trust me, your product is gonna get lot of
Yeah.
users, because
True.
word of mouth do works. Okay,
Yeah.
and it has a
Absolutely.
high chance of that. Yeah, it is very efficient thing. And
Mm.
we have, trust me, in Edulastic I have seen lot of examples where word of mouth has given us very very big deals. Just
Yeah.
word of
Yeah.
mouth has given
No,
us.
fair
So
enough. Especially for certain industries, and definitely
yeah,
edtech is one of those industries where word of mouth is extremely
yeah.
valuable and important. Yep.
But apart from that, yeah, the research where you have to find out, okay, is there any competition getting in your
Yep.
way, you know, some maybe nowadays what we I have seen, for an example, you know, Dunzo started, then Zepto came, then
Yeah.
Swiggy Instamart came. So all these are competitors who just saw an opportunity, okay, this guy is going in this direction, let's do that, because
Yeah.
we have a lot of things, you know. So you have
Yeah.
to be aware of all such things as well. So it
Mm-hmm.
keeps you involved. And it's not like when launching a product you just go in a linear way. You can't do
Mm.
that. You have to start everywhere in the same
Mm.
time. So that's
Yeah.
where people do struggle as well, that I have to
Yeah.
start and do everything at one shot. But that's the market's need right now,
Yeah.
you know, if you want to launch your product.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
community nurturing, again, I'll focus on that as well, because that's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing. Again, this is an asset that you can use for the entire life, you know. Because
Absolutely.
I launched one product, people loved
Mm-hmm.
it, they came in a community. Now I can keep on launching different features or different products, and I have a pre-cooked customer base as well where I can
Yep.
communicate. So that is another thing that I'll suggest, you know, when we
Yeah.
are thinking about a product launch.
Absolutely.
I
Thank
guess
you
I have
so
spoken a
much.
lot.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this, right? And you know, couple of key things in terms of from your start, from your launch to And honestly, two, nothing, two, it never ends. Right, at
Yeah, yeah,
every stage there are critical research that needs to be run, to identify, even to identify who is your target group, right? Who is the
yes, yes,
group that you need to be reaching out to. So running things like your conjoint analysis to just understand which are the features that are on priority, or you want to, once you've got your product launch, you want to collect feedback from the customer during that entire stage, that journey with across those different touch points that they're going to be interacting with you. Very important when you're initially launching, because you're constantly adding new features, you're constantly making changes. It's a new journey that the customer is taking. So that is extremely important as well. And then the last one, Pankaj, that you mentioned in terms of leveraging your community itself, right? So you can encourage your customers, you can even bring in people within your target group that are not part of your current customer base to join a community. Question Pro has its own community platform as well, where you can join the community, and then you can interact with them through multiple modules, right? Whether it is just
yes,
qualitative, you want to do in-depth interviews, you want to do focus groups, you want to send out quantitative surveys, it also gives you things like an idea board, right? Because you're always looking for ideas, you're
yeah,
always
yeah.
looking for the
That's
new
very
feature that
important.
needs to be added. So things like idea boards, where your community members can share their thoughts, share their feedback, share their suggestions with you, which can constantly get you to improve the product and move on. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that covers most of it. For everyone who's joined, if there are specific questions in terms of where you are within that product, the launch stages, the product development stages, if you have any questions in terms of the kind of research that you want to run, please feel free to reach out to us. We can set up a call. We've got subject matter experts for each of those different industries. So we'll be happy to help you frame the kind of research that you need to get done. With that, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining. Pankaj, thank you so much for taking
Thank
the
you.
time. I know it is a busy Friday for you, so
No
it was
problem.
great to
It's my
have you on
pleasure
the
to
show.
be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.